Quiet day in gold, great day in the stock markets. But we're going to focus today on some hot stories in the gold mining sector that I heard at the Mining Forum Europe that you need to know about. A stock that probably a lot of you own, that I own, that I love, but we need to be prepared for some volatility, short term, and a new blue chip from down under that not a lot of people are familiar with, that presented the company at the Mining Forum Europe. Really important news for gold mining investors. Let's get into it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks and month. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day. My name is Daniel Wilhelmi. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of these videos with information that we're going to talk about today that you don't hear anywhere else. Now, let's start with the markets overall. That part you probably hear somewhere else. Not all the time, but sometimes. Start with gold, okay? As you can see, not much happening in gold, which is pretty much exactly what I told you. We don't need to do anything. We know what the important area is. I defined it in a previous video and told you, as long as we're below the 50 and as long as we haven't retaken this uptrend, which goes back all the way to the fall rally in the mining stock starting, as long as that is not happening, there's really not much we need to do in gold. So that's exactly how it's playing out. We'll see what's going to happen with it. That's the situation with gold. What is red hot is the stock market. The S&P made a new all-time high. The Nasdaq made a new all-time high on the close. Right? That's important. Now, look. This recent rally that we have seen in the equity markets, primarily massive short covering. But here's what really pisses me off. And I've told you this on this channel since last winter. You had all these people that were throwing out these headlines on YouTube. The crash is coming. Go short, sell everything. The market's going to collapse. Armageddon is coming. Yeah. What happened to these guys? I hope they get flamed in the comments for creating a panic among the retail investors. And I get plenty wrong in this market, but I've been telling you since last winter, this is not a crash. Do not panic. We'll get a crash. It's coming, but it's probably 2027, 2028. We'll get another harsh sell-off, but it's a sell-off within the bull market. It's a correction within the bull market. And that's exactly what's playing out. And I really hope that you didn't get caught by these clowns that were calling for crash scenarios. That really bothers me. I told you to get out of the leverage, and that was the right play to do, as we had this massive down move in March, April. Right? So you were safe on that side because a lot of people got margin called on this one, institutions too. But man, as you can see in the vicious rebound that we got, which is, again, this is primarily a short covering rally. But it's a short covering rally that led to a new all-time high on the close. And what we cannot forget, and this is really important, and then we switch back to the precious metals. This all goes hand in hand. We got monster IPOs coming. SpaceX, most prominent. There's a lot of money to be made by Wall Street. So they will do everything they can to keep the sentiment positive, to keep the stock market high, until these major IPOs, where the investment banks that are involved, going to cash big checks, are brought to the market and the shares are dumped to the retail investors that don't know any better, they're not informed. So now the positive sentiment in the equity market. Obviously, good thing for the mining stocks. Now, again, do I think we're going to go to the moon? Absolutely not. Not with earnings season coming up. So here are the stories out of the mining sector that were really popular discussion points behind closed doors. And let's start with a very popular silver stock that I own myself, that everybody loves, Abra Silver. I'm in this stock, have been a year and a half or so, and have no intent selling. One of my top performers of the past year, clearly. They have a super silver project in Argentina, exploration company, high risk, but again, one of the big success stories, because fundamentally they're successful, things are going really well. But here is what is also happening and what is contributing to this run up in Abra. There is a long short trade happening on the institutional side in Vancouver, Toronto, New York, where institutions are actively shorting and have been shorting a popular silver stock. I'm not going to name that one, that's not right. And at the same time, going long Abra Silver. The idea being Abra is the better stock, and we also expect that stock one that we're going to short is going down. But even if the short is not going down and all the silver stocks are going up, we expect Abra Silver to go up more, and that'll cover the losses on the short side. It's a really popular concept that is used with institutional investors. So that means we have a lot of people holding Abra stock that do not care about this company at all. And it looks like the short is stopping to work on the stock that they're shorting. Again, prominent stock as well. So that means there's a risk factor that this whole long short trade, this is a combined trade, will be closed out by institutional investors, which means they're going to cover their shorts and they're also going to sell their Abra stocks. They're going to close out that whole trade. And that would bring big time volatility to Abra short term. How low it can go, I have no idea. Nobody knows. I mean, there are ideas how much it could be as far as the amount of shares outstanding if you calculate it with the size of the shorts, blah, blah, blah. But be prepared for volatility in Abra. If you're a long-term investor, and this is important, do understand if you don't hear any news, it has very likely nothing to do with the company and the project. It is likely these short sellers closing out this double long short. Okay, so this was one of the big stories behind closed doors with one of the most popular silver stocks that we have in the market. The other one is a new blue chip company, fairly new, as you can see here, that came to market last summer. However, this is an Aussie company, so therefore pretty new to investors in the US and in Europe. They were presenting for the first time, obviously, at the Mining Forum Europe, and the stock has done really well. I don't really do these large senior producers. This is an interesting story if you're interested in it, because they do not only have a big time gold project, they also have a big tungsten project. Now, tungsten in Australia is not the same story as tungsten in the US and in North America. As I've told you before, it's a global story, but the epicenter, is that the right English phrase? Oh, you get it. Sorry about that. What do you want from me? You know, I'm a schnitzel guy. English not perfect. I think it's pretty decent. Is the US and North America. That's where we want to be. Because the number one military in the world, the US, has zero, nada, null, nothing producing tungsten mines. Canada Zero, nothing, nada producing tungsten mines. So that is where we want to be, because that is where the demand is the highest. There are several tungsten projects in production in Down Under, but this seems to be a really big tungsten project from what I saw when I saw the presentation. I did not talk to the management. And could be something that might be interesting to you. Now, here's the thing you need to know. Another inside baseball into the mining, the financial stock market part of the mining sector. The North American investors, the Canadians and the Americans, they effing hate the Australian stocks and the Australian projects. Not because the projects are bad. The projects are actually outstanding. Australia, one of the greatest mining countries in the world. And man, who doesn't love Australia? They have the koala bear, which is not even a bear, but that's all right. That's a different story. Don't want to crush your childhood dreams here. But here's why the North American investors hate the Aussie stocks. They hate it because of the time difference. So basically, the thing that the institutions do to us retail investors, right, where they have an information time advantage to us, and then it's okay, obviously. When it comes to Australia, because of the time difference, they have a major disadvantage to the Australian institutional investors. And that's why they hate it. Which leads to the following point. Usually, the bigger Aussie mining companies underperform compared to the North American mining companies that are listed in Canada and the US, or even globally active companies that are listed in North America and the US. Why? Because similar time zones. The North American investors do not like to invest in Australian mining companies, and you can see it. I saw it actually at the Mining Forum Europe. Funny enough, I was talking to that to someone, and then I think like 3 hours later or something, there was a presentation, and the person showed the graph where it was actually pointing out the performance difference between the TSX in Canada and the ASX in Australia, and it's significant, right? The Canadian stocks go up more in the bull run than the primarily in Australia listed stocks and the stocks of companies that have projects in Australia because of the time difference. That's why I very rarely invest in Australian projects and Australian companies. I might invest in Canadian companies that have projects in Australia. So therefore I know that a large majority of the shareholders are actually North American. But overall, and you've probably noticed that when you follow this channel, I try not to go to Down Under too much, even though great projects. But if I want to make the biggest bang for my buck, the most money in the commodity super cycle in the mining stocks, there are always exceptions, obviously. But in general, we will do better in North America than we will do in Australia. So that's a little inside baseball for you from the financial side of the mining business. That wraps up the Mining Forum Europe. Right now, you've seen the gold price. Nothing really happening there, so we can wait out and wait that we get good entry opportunities in our mining stocks, which I think will stay hot. And quick pre-advice for tomorrow's video, keep a close eye on the uranium stocks. If the overall market keeps going up, the uranium stock's probably going to get lifted up. That story will come back the same way all of a sudden the AI hardware story is coming back. I got an eye on that sector. Again, if you're new to the channel, you like the content, you like the information that you get here, which is usually information that I try to bring to you that you don't get anywhere else, hit the subscribe button. We see us tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.